Welcome to the International Museum of Dinnerware Design's inaugural lecture in the series titled Unforgettable Dinnerware. I want to thank the Ann Arbor District Library for partnering with us and hosting this event this evening. Thank you so much. Okay, you maybe know who I am. Oh, I wanted to start this by saying, welcome to Dinnerware Anonymous. My name is Margaret, but I was told by some person that's in this room that I can't do that. Anyway, I'm Margaret Carney and I'm curator of the museum. Tonight, I'm going to give you the first tour of the museum, a behind the scenes tour, kind of a show and tell. And I'll show you some of the 9,000 objects that are in the permanent collection. Or if you really like it, we'll stick around for a couple of months and I'll show you every single thing that we have. The only housekeeping thing is that you're all muted, and if you have a question during my presentation, which will probably last about a half hour, you can put something in the chat feature, and otherwise you can save your questions for the Q&A at the end of my presentation. You'll be unmuted then. So I founded the museum 10 years ago. This is our 10th anniversary, and the reason I founded it was because I felt that industrial designers and contemporary artists who made functional pottery were kind of not given their due respect in museums, that they were relegated to basement storage areas and up in little alcoves in museums. And I really wanted to celebrate dining in a full way. I have one more caveat, and that is that my PhD is actually in Asian art history and Chinese ceramics. And I have taught ceramic world history at the New York State College of Ceramics, at Alfred University, and at the Ohio State University, Bowling Green, and a few other places. And I don't know what your role in dinnerware is. Some of you I do. Your teachers and your collectors and your designers and your makers and your researchers and your curators and whatever your role is. I know whatever your passion is, you know way more about that area than I do. That my area is not what you know about. I know a little bit about it, but my real role in the museum from the very beginning in 2012 has been as a facilitator, bringing together the contemporary artists and the industrial designers and celebrating what they have brought for us, what they've created. And then additionally, we also collect fine art referencing dining. And if you know me well, we have plenty of kitsch in the collection also. So right now we're at the dining room table, which is appropriate for the Dinnerware Museum. We have office and storage in Ann Arbor, but we really don't have a dedicated space. We don't have a dedicated space for exhibitions and educational programming in town. So for the past 10 years, we've been doing pop-up exhibitions all over town. Not only in Ann Arbor, but in Ypsilanti, and additionally in Chicago at Navy Pier for SOFA Chicago. I particularly want to thank one venue that we had, and that's with the Washtenaw County Historical Society's Museum on Main Street, who has generously allowed us to pop up and partner with them for, I can't even count how many exhibits, but maybe 5 or 6 in the last 10 years. And I thank them very much for their welcoming of us. We are a 501c3. We are a museum that has no bricks and mortar building, but we are a real museum. I want to thank you all for the support you've shown us in the last 10 years. And those of you who aren't yet members, I want to say you could become a member. You can, you could offer to volunteer in the museum now that we're getting back to in-person things. You could offer to join our board of directors if you have something to offer there. But whatever you'll get my undying gratitude. If you take out a membership or you donate something, you'll get our newsletter in the mail. This is my one chance to not forget this. And if you want, I'll send you old issues of the newsletter. We don't post these online. You can't get them anywhere except from the museum office in Ann Arbor, but I'd be happy to send you that if you renew and all that. So before I start doing show and tell, and I have things on the dining room table I want to share with you, I want to show you a few things in the permanent collection that are groups of objects that are dinnerware sets, really, to show you some beautiful things before I show you some beautiful and or weird objects in the collection. I do want to say, if you want to see more of the collection and you want to know more about our mission and what exhibits we've had and that kind of thing, you could go to our website, which is dinnerwaremuseum.org, and you could click on the link, which takes you to the YouTube from about a year ago, where I talked about all those things. And that's about a half hour long. So if you can handle tonight, you can handle looking at that YouTube. First of all, I want to show you some of my favorite things, but I have so many favorites and I'm really a love the one you with kind of person. So you're looking right now at Eva Zeisel's designs that she did for the Museum of Modern Art as a commission produced by Castleton, China. And obviously I love this work. And I think I saw on the list that the woman that told me about the coffee pot might be on the list of people attending this evening. And I thank you for letting me know at an in-person lecture we were at years ago. Now we have lots of things by Eva, and I'm just showing 2 sets right now. And then we also have that was in the 1940s. 1950s, she did several sets for Hall China. And that includes tomorrow's classic that you're looking at here. Now she designed the shapes, and if there were any decals or decorations on the pieces, those were other designers that offered those, and the manufacturer came up with those ideas. And in general, Eva didn't have anything to do, nor did she have a choice over what went on her beautiful forms. Of course, we have the work of Don Schreckengast, who designed the Mandarin tricorn for Salem, China. And the great thing about this is that Don was only in his 20s, and he was doing an internship at Salem, China, when he designed the tricorn shape, the plates that you're seeing there. And that's the tricorn part of it. The streamlined parts are the hollowware pieces, the teapot and the cups and creamer and that kind of thing. And those were designed by Vincent Broomhall and others. And the patents are even on the bottom of the pieces. So this is 1930s Art Deco. And then we have lots of Russell Wright, of course, and one of my favorites, and that's because there's always a story when somebody donates something. And this chartreuse version of the American Modern set, which was very popular between 1939 and 1959. This set here is from a 1959 wedding of a good friend who lived in Toledo, and she donated it to the museum. So I love the way that we acquire things. And this set by Russell Wright, this is theme formal, and there's also a theme informal that we have. This is a wonderful set that Russell Wright designed in 1965, and it was at the end when people were doing formal dining or even informal dining with fancy dishes. And so it was mainly prototypes, and the things I like best about this set is the glassware. It was manufactured in Japan. Now, I'm going to tell you all the different kinds of things we collect, or you can go watch that YouTube. So I'm not going to waste your time with that tonight, but I love flatware. And this is one of my favorite sets that was designed by Karl Albach in 1955 in Austria. And of course, Don's brother, Victor Schreckengast, also a renowned designer, industrial designer. He designed this freeform shape with the primitive design on it. And the thing that's most remarkable about this set that was manufactured by Salem, China in 1955 are the fantastic little tripod feet on all the hollowware pieces. Just look at that teapot and the salt and peppers, and it's just pretty magical. So I feel like I'm preaching to the masses here, but my favorite, who you may not know about, Shinichiro Ogata is a Japanese, he's a designer, an architect, a restaurateur, a chef. He's a philosopher. He's pretty much everything. And in 2008, he designed this single use, which means this disposable, tree-free, biodegradable dinnerware, which food looks fantastic on. Unfortunately, you're supposed to throw it away, but it's made out of sugarcane pulp. And we were very lucky a couple of years ago that the estate of Bill Stern in California donated a huge, wonderful amount of colorful California dinnerware. And this is just one of the representative sets, the set I really like, designed by Legardo Tackett in around 1960 and manufactured by Smid Porcelain International. But look at the demi-tasse cups and saucers there. They're really to die for. So, and everybody that knows me knows I love plasticware, Melmac, melamine, And my favorite designer there is Kay Lemoyne, and he designed this ebonite probably in the 1940s. I think I love it because my field's Asian art history, and it has a very Asian, Chinesey lacquerware kind of effect to it. It also came a few pieces in white and also in green that we have, but I love this with the Chinese characters on it. He also designed in the 1950s the Flight and Color Flight Melmac, and I love these two. We're very lucky to have in the collection, right now it's a promise gift from Susie and John Stevenson, this wonderful set created and designed by, well, it wasn't created by him, it was created by Jackson China, but it was designed by Roy Lichtenstein, who you might know best as a pop art artist. And this place setting was intended to be used for the breakfast after the happening, but it's fantastic. We also have fine art that references dining, and that would include this David Oliveira sculpture. This is wire sculpture that he created in 2012. And I believe it was Garth Clark who posted something on Facebook that I saw of David Oliveira's work. And I literally wired euros to this wire artist in Portugal, because he's in Portugal. And so if we can see the next image, that shows the three-dimensionality of it. This is at an exhibit at SOFA Chicago, I think in 2013. And it shows you that it's not a drawing, that it's actually three-dimensional. Additionally, we have works in, I think I've told you, metal, paper, plastic, fiber, any material you can think of just about that has something to do with dinnerware. And this is Arne Jacobsen's set that he designed for Stelton in Denmark. And in the contemporary ceramics, we have a lot of contemporary makers, and not just ceramics, we also have glass and paperwork by contemporary artists. This is Eddie Dominguez's Rose Garden, which he created in 1999. Just think about having this out on your buffet table when your guests come. It's 12 place settings. They go get their own giant leaf plate and their cup and saucer. But Rose Garden is one of my favorite new pieces. We've just acquired that in the last year. Additionally, we have the work of the late John Glick. This is a place setting that was commissioned by Joan and Walter Mondale when he was Vice President of the United States in 1979. So one set of this went to Blair House, which is the Vice President's home in Washington, D.C. The other set went to their home in Minnesota. And of course, we have lots of Fiesta ware. This is a grouping of the original Fiesta ware colors that was designed by Frederick Curtin Reed in 1936 and manufactured by Homer Laughlin. And another one of my favorite manufacturers is Glidden Pottery in Alfred, New York. The designer here is Sergio Della Strologo, and he designed this Alfred stoneware buffetware in 1956. And of course, we have lots of restaurant ware, and I love the Well of the Sea. We have lots of TEPCO that was given by a generous person in California, but the Well of the Sea china made by Shenango China, it's all restaurant ware. It was designed in the 1950s and 60s for the Well of the Sea restaurant in Chicago, which was located in the basement of the Sherman House Hotel in Chicago. I'll be talking more about that a little bit later, but what was really fascinating about this restaurant was that I ate there in the 1960s with my parents, and I don't remember anything about the dinnerware. I don't remember anything about the food, even though it was a renowned seafood restaurant. What I remember is that it was like dining under the sea. There were fantastic murals and sculpture all over the restaurant space, but the most important thing was that it was all lit by black light. And so everything fluoresced in the restaurant. The dinnerware would have fluoresced, the waiters fluoresced, I think people's false teeth fluoresced, everything fluoresced. And I even remember what dress I was wearing because I remember the little white flowers on it fluoresced in the restaurant. But it was really a fantastic experience. And once I started the museum in 2012 and I found out there was this dinnerware, it all came back to me. Not that I remembered the dinnerware, but I remember the experience of it. So it's been a real treat collecting this. We also have wonderful glassware. This is petalware that was manufactured by Macbeth Evans in the 30s and 40s. And it's really like a rainbow at your table, I think. And speaking of glassware, lots of the glassware that we have in the Dinnerware Museum are pieces that were meant to be used at the bar. So this is a liqueur set that was designed by Dutch artist A.D. Copier in the 1930s and manufactured in the Netherlands. And the last image I want to show you right now is a wonderful set of by a designer who I wasn't familiar with, Simon Slobodkin, who did this ranchero shape. I know this set, which kind of borders between Art Deco and mid-century modern here, that was created by Cabot Shaw division of W.S. George. I know this set dates to 1939 because it's my parents' wedding china. I got convinced my brother, who has the same initials, monogrammed initials as my father, he's a junior, to donate some items from that dinnerware. And we put food on it just to make everybody happy. So now I'd like to resume my live presentation of objects in the museum's collection. And I think I promised you that I was going to talk about Dairy Queen. Okay, I'm not really going to talk about Dairy Queen, but I do have something to say about dining with the Queen. Okay, now I don't know really what the Queen has. I'm going to get rid of these membership brochures here. But I have in front of me a wonderful bowl with a saucer, an underplate. These are glass. They're an iridescent Favril glass that was designed by Louis Comfort Tiffany. And you might think, well, what is that for on your table? Is it a soup bowl? No, indeed, it's a finger bowl. So this is where the Queen comes in. Let's say you're dining with the Queen, and honestly, I don't know what the Queen's never had me over, but if the Queen's fingers got messy during dinner, she might dip them in the finger bowl to cleanse them. And then etiquette would have you mimic the Queen and dip your fingers in the finger bowl. But I just want you to appreciate the fact that this is one of the earliest things we acquired for the museum. It's signed LCT, Louis Comfort Tiffany, each piece, because I wanted people to know that we didn't just collect plates and cups and saucers and teapots, that we also collected other kinds of objects that would be used at the dining table. And that would include a finger bowl, even though you're not going to eat out of it. So don't make the mistake of eating out of it. So what else do I have to say? If I'm not going to talk about Dairy Queen, I'm going to talk about McDonald's, okay? We'll get more serious in a minute. But McDonald's, where I as a vegan seldom eat, they invented in 2016, not 1926, but in 2016, they came up with this wonderful marketing idea. They had a new craft kind of sandwich, and that sandwich had a lot of gravy associated with it, or sauce. I guess it was sauce if it's McDonald's. So they came up with this idea of a fork. So this isn't a fork, it has no tines. It's made of flexible plastic. And even on their own marketing little brochure here, it says it's uselessly useful. Okay, so this is a fork. What's the point of a fork? Oh, and I should say that we have friends. It was only marketed for one day in Lancaster, Pennsylvania in 2016. I heard about it in advance, and we have friends there, and they were so nice, and they queued up at McDonald's, bought the sandwich, got the fork, and shipped me the fork. Unfortunately, not the sandwich. The point of the fork is that, oh, you take their little skinny French fries at McDonald's. I think they still have, but these are great big ones I have to show you. They go in the fork, you insert them, and then these serve as the tines of your fork, and you sop up the sauce that's fallen on your plate or whatever they've given you to pat it. So that is the fork. The other thing I love about having a fork is that maybe 100 years from now, the International Museum of Dinnerware Design will be the only museum in the world that has a fork in its collection. Oh, unless maybe the Cooper Hewitt also saved one. I'm not sure. But, so that's the fork. We're going to set that aside. All right, now I want to do something really high tech, and that's with my Geiger counter. I think the other thing I advertised is orange stuff. So I advertised that I was going to show you a bunch of orange stuff, and I'm sure if you're thinking that I want to show you how radioactive it is. And so I have my Geiger counter here, and I'm going to turn it on, and you can see I've zeroed it. I hope you can see that. And then I'm going to hold up this Mandarin tricorn 1930s Art Deco orange cup, orange glazed cup, and nothing's happening, okay? So I'm gonna turn this off and I'm gonna set the cup aside so I don't bump it. And then I'm gonna turn the Geiger counter back on and we're gonna hold the Fiesta cup up to it. I hope you can see and hear that the uranium glaze in the cup is still quite active. So what am I trying to tell you? Well, one, oh no, I'm going to turn it off again. Okay, two things. One, I'm not going to drink acidic things like coffee, tea, orange juice, tomato juice out of this cup, even if you don't think it's radioactive. I'm not going to. And you also learned that not all things that have a beautiful orange color are radioactive. However, in case you think they're the first ones that came up with this, they may not have been. There's California potteries just as radioactive as that Fiesta piece. This is Pacific pottery, a cute little piece, a little sugar bowl. So this was around the same time, a little earlier. But I believe they quit making that glaze at Pacific Pottery about the same time they quit it at Fiesta at Homer Laughlin. And that's because the uranium was needed. So this is 1936. In 1942, they quit making this glaze. You can't buy it today unless it's at an antique shop. And that's because they needed the uranium for the atom bomb. Okay, so that's my cautionary tale about Fiesta ware. Now I'm not done talking about cups. And so I want to show you one of my favorite designers of plasticware here. And this is Russell Wright, of course. You're all screaming at me what it is. It's Flair, and it's pink Flair. And I happen to like eating off of pink dishes. I love the forms, the plates, the cup. They're really fantastic. Some people don't like eating off of pink, but I think all food looks just about as good on pink as it does on white. Well, what else did Russell Wright come up with when he was designing the pink Flair? He came up with a translucent Flair like this piece, which is called Ming lace. And what do I like best about Ming lace? Because I like it a lot. Okay, I wish they made serving pieces, or I mean, besides the creamer and sugar, because if any of you have something else, I'd like to know if there's a teapot or something I haven't seen. But anyway, these are real jade leaves that are embedded in the plastic. Now, plastic wasn't invented in 1959 when Russell Wright came up with this idea, but it was really popular. And so I love the idea that real leaves are embedded in the plate. And what makes that more interesting is if I hold up two plates that are both Russell Wright Flair Ming lace, you can see that they're not identical. So no two plates are the same because they're real leaves embedded in the plastic. And I think that's a wonderful, it's a marketing tool because you're going to want to buy all the plates you can to make sure that that they didn't duplicate something. So I'm going to set Russell Wright aside for just a second. And I'm going to move to another popular designer in the 1950s. And this is Glidden pottery. Glidden pottery was made in Alfred, New York, late 40s into the late 50s. And the pieces are marked, if you haven't seen them, are marked Glidden pottery or Glidden on the bottom, and they have a shape number. So it tells you the size of the plate. So this is a poodle, obviously. Poodles were immensely popular, but look at this poodle, same plate, everything. These pieces, just like Russell Wright designed with real Ming leaves or real jade leaves embedded in the plastic, Glidden Parker and his cohorts came up with this idea of hand painting things. So the pieces may have been ram pressed, but the pottery was hand painted by wonderful decorators and designers at Glidden Pottery and Alfred. So no two poodles are alike. So whether you have a cup and saucer, a shirred egg server, whatever it is that you have that has a poodle on it, they're all going to be just a little bit different. And I love that idea. The other idea that I love about this poodle is that Glidden Parker, when he started the pottery, needed some money. So he went to a banker in Alfred. That banker had a standard poodle like this one, and the poodle's name was Charlemagne. So this poodle is actually paying homage to the banker who loaned him the money to start the pottery. I don't know why this pattern isn't called Charlemagne, because that's what I'd call it, but I think it's called Chi-Chi Poodle. But I do love everything poodle from the 1950s. Except these know where I don't see them, hurt them. Okay, now I'm going to put on some gloves, and you'll probably say, well, you've been handling all these precious things. Why aren't you wearing gloves all the time? And I'll tell you that if you handle gloves and if you wear gloves and you're handling ceramics or glass, you're likely to drop something because it's slippery, so don't. There's a few exceptions to that rule. The reason I'm wearing gloves is because I'm showing you something. Oh, that's why I'm going to leave it on this box here. I'm showing you a wonderful cup and saucer that was designed by a paper artist, a book artist in Sweden named Cecilia Levy. She takes old books, Swedish books. I can't read this, but if you can read Swedish, and I actually know someone in the audience who can, you could read what this book says and what book it's from probably. But so this is an example of fine art referencing dinnerware that we have in the collection. And it's incredibly fragile, beautiful paper art by Cecilia Levy. So I can take my gloves off now, get rid of them. And I want to show you something that is another kind of unusual object we have in the Dinnerware Museum. And this was shown maybe at more than one exhibit, but specifically I remember when we did a tea show at Zingerman's coffee shop. Is that ironic? No, they sell coffee there too. But anyway, we showed this pop-up book of Alice in Wonderland. So the show was there for a couple months. Thousands of people saw the show if they looked at it while they were sitting at their computers sipping coffee. But what was wonderful about this exhibition and pop-up book is that it has Alice's Adventures in Wonderland in pop-up format. So there's Alice and her cohorts, the Mad Hatter, and everyone at the table with their little cups and saucers. And we had this on display open. And I should say that I have this book for me to touch with my bare hands. And then there's one in the archives all wrapped up in acid-free tissue that you have to wear white gloves in order to be able to touch it. All right, and I talked about Wasara ware that Shinichiro Ogata designed in 2008. And I want to show you a couple of pieces of that just so you can think about that fragile paper art cup and saucer that Cecilia Levy designed, but show you how really sturdy the Wasara ware is and how beautiful the forms are. There's a whole set of this with all the different dishes, and it's meant to be thrown away. And I think that's the sad part about it. But the beautiful part is that trees weren't cut down to do this. It's sugarcane pulp that makes these wonderful. Oh, and I guess if you have like sheep and cows and things in your backyard, these could be recycled. They'd be edible by your barnyard friends. Okay, and when I founded the museum, I came up with this idea that I wanted to collect things like TV dinner trays, things from the 1950s, stuff I remembered to do with dining that were kind of fun and unusual. And of course, one of the things I immediately connected with were takeout boxes, so Chinese takeout boxes. So I contacted a restaurant service and bought all kinds of clean takeout boxes. These aren't washed out or anything like that. So what do we have in the way of fine art that references dining, but a wonderful set of dining sculpture that was made by the artist Beth Lowe. So this is her version of a takeout box. This is porcelain, okay? And it's sculpture. It's not functional. It doesn't open. It's just for you to enjoy the humor and the beauty of it, in that you can see the little fellow having his hot dog out of that's decorating this Chinese takeout box. And then kind of conversely, she has one of those clamshell-like containers that normally would be made of styrofoam, which I might say I also collect because eventually they will not make styrofoam anymore and I'll have lots of them. Those are clean ones, not saved ones. But this is also Beth Lowe's rendition of the little Chinese child eating her traditional Chinese food, and it's decorating a clamshell box. So those are some of the examples of fine art referencing dining that are in the Dinnerware Museum. And then I promised some of the Art Deco people on Facebook that I was going to show a few more things of Victor Schreckengost. I would say that in the last few months, we were generously donated a group of dinnerware drawings, the patterns on dinnerware that Victor did, some in the 30s and 40s, and then some design renderings. Additionally, they donated some ceramic pieces and glass pieces that Victor designed, including this wonderful Art Deco refrigerator ware. So this is Victor Schreckengost, and these were things that Victor actually owned himself. So we have a graduated set of these that were made by Hotco in the 1930s, wonderful shapes and designs. And additionally, we have, because I love to collect prototypes, the Victor Schreckengost family donated this set, which is Jiffy ware done in the 1940s. And this is in a color called chocolate brown. So the pieces, the Jiffy ware was made usually in white and red and some other very Art Deco-y colors. This chocolate brown is a prototype and it never went into production, but we have a number of stacking bowls with lids and refrigerator ware. So that's some Art Deco Victor Schreckengost work. Okay, and if you know me, you know that I used to run a museum about lithophanes, the Blair Museum of Lithophanes. I'll put a plug for them in Toledo area now. I'm going to try to light this thing so I can show it to you. You probably know what a lithophane is, but if you don't, can you see this? I don't know. This is a lithophane. Lithophanes are porcelain plaques that were invented. They're little skinny things. They're about 1/8 of an inch thick. They're porcelain. They're three-dimensional on one side, so they're sculptural, and then they're flat on the other side. They were made in the 1820s, in the time period where they invented cameras and stereographic viewers and that kind of thing, when optical illusion things or optical things were invented. And this one, I just discovered this. This is a very special piece, especially in this time that we're in. This is actually this has nothing to do with dinnerware, but in a moment I'm going to get to the dinnerware part. And this is actually a lithophane plaque of Saint Olga of Kiev. And she is the patron saint of Ukraine. She protects Ukraine. And so it's fitting that I'm introducing some of you to what a lithophane is by showing you the patron saint, Saint Olga. And I'm going to set this aside. She has nothing to do with dinnerware, except for lots of things, which I'll talk about some other day, in the form of dinnerware, were made using lithophanes. And so I picked out the weirdest one that I could share with you this evening. And probably some of you are saying, well, thank goodness, Margaret, you're finally showing us grandma's dishes with the little flowers on it and something from Europe in the 1800s. Well, that's exactly what I'm showing you. This piece dates from 1889, and it's made by Havel in China, which was located in Limoges, France. It's part of a huge dinnerware set, which I don't have any other pieces of. I have lots of Haviland, but not this. And this piece has a special use. Every piece that was in those sets had a unique, wonderful dinnerware use. In the case of this one, you can see it's a shallow dish, and it was meant to serve turtle soup. Now, how do I know that, besides that the expert in Haviland told me about it? You know it because I think you can see here in relief is a turtle's head, turtle's foot, the turtle's tail. Okay, now that's strange enough. I think that you'd have a bowl that does that. However, if I can get this lit halfway right, can you see this? The turtle is actually a lithophane. The turtle's head, the turtle's foot. I don't know if you can see this well, but it needs to be, lithophanes have to be backlit in order for the magic to appear. I left that little detail out. This was before electricity. So I don't think electricity, I might be wrong, but it's around 1890 or something. But before electricity, rooms were lit by flames from fireplaces and candlelight and sunlight coming in the window. And so lithophanes beautified people's homes, and they also were something that protected your eyes from flickering flames. Well, I see no reason on earth why the creator of this Haviland soup dish decided there had to be a lithophane turtle body, you know, the head, the feet, and the tail on a soup plate that would be on your table, and it wouldn't be shown. It's not realistic to think you were holding it up in the air while your soup was spilling out, or you licked it clean or whatever. Okay, I just have a few more things I want to share with you. And this really is one of my favorite objects in the whole collection. I'm going to carry this carefully, move something else out of the way. This is a wonderful plate. It's glass, and it's a prototype, meaning it's the only one in the world. It's a photosensitive glass. It's a proprietary technique. I don't know how it was made. It was designed in 1971 by Ted Rada for Corning Incorporated. What is fabulous about this plate, besides it's really pretty anyway, it's just a beautiful plate, is that this would have changed dining forever if this had gone into production. It didn't, because it wasn't cost effective to put it in production. But let's say you didn't ever want to buy another set of dinnerware. All you'd have to do is change your tablecloth or your placemat, and it would completely change your dining experience. So let's try a few different colors behind it and see, I see far away or close up. You can see how the food would look different. The presentation is different. It would be like really never buying any new dinnerware. You would just change your table setting. You could put it on wood, it would look different. You could put it with some floral background. Not sure which close up or far away looks better. You can pick any color of the rainbow, and it's going to enhance your dining experience. So that's a wonderful transformative piece that Ted Rada designed. And before I conclude, I want to show you, everybody asks me what's my favorite piece, and I really am a love the one you're with kind of person. So everything that's acquired for the museum, it's like adopting or giving birth or something. I want to share it with people. I want to learn about it, share it. I want to get information from other people about it. But clearly one of my favorite pieces is this little tiny restaurant-ware creamer, which was part of the Shenango China's Well of the Sea pattern. It's got the little, in this case, the fish and the sinker or hook or whatever that is. It doesn't have a handle. I have the one with a handle. I showed it to you already, but I just love this piece. And the other day when I was looking at it, I decided another reason I love it even more, besides it's a really simple form, is the back stamp on it. So it's a Shenango China back stamp, and it corresponds to being manufactured between January and June of 1954. And as I mentioned earlier, or maybe I didn't, the restaurant ware didn't come to be used at the Well of the Sea restaurant until 1954-ish, because in 1948 when they opened, I don't know what they were using. I've got some pictures, but I can't see what China's on the table. But in 1950, this is the oldest piece I have in the museum's collection with the 1954 back stamp. I've been told, and I've read on the internet, and everything's true on the internet, that there was a piece that was manufactured in Shenango, China in 1953. If you have that piece out there, show me the back stamp, show me the piece, email it to me at director@dinnerwaremuseum.org. And I'm going to be putting an article up, I promise this for, a year or more, on our website about Well of the Sea, with profusely illustrated with all the murals that were on the walls of the restaurant and lots of information. So that would enhance things if I knew that. Okay, the last thing I want to show you this evening is, thank you. People that come in the museum for in-person tours or like some of our exhibitions or comment on things that we post, their favorite piece almost always, or a majority of people, is this piece, this tea set by Peter Sanger. So I have a lot to say about this, but I'll cut it short. First of all, it's the design that Peter did. He designed this beginning in 1980. That was the first time. I bought this set in 1990 in Portland, Oregon at a craft shop. What he had in that shop then, oh, you can see here, it lifts out, it goes back down, it doesn't disturb the cups that are on the tray that come with it. It's all very heavy, I might say. The cups lift out, kind of like if you were a chicken and a hen and you were sitting on a nest or something, and then everything would stay warm because of the conductivity of the ceramics. Anyway, it's a beautiful design. Well, in this shop in Portland, Oregon, he had a white one and a black one for sale. And I say this because he still sells these. This is 2022. And Peter Sanger is still in Delaware. He's still selling these. And at the time, the shop had the white one and the black one. And I am not an indecisive person. In fact, everyone that knows me knows that's the last thing they think of with my name. But I couldn't decide. I was there for an hour at this shop and I was going, I want the white one. I want the black one. Eventually, I bought the black one. And it just occurred to me when I was preparing to give this talk and I knew I was going to show this tea set, it occurred to me that the museum probably should own the white one. And besides, the white one is equally beautiful. But also the white one has been shown on Star Trek, The Next Generation. Captain Picard is shown using it in several of the episodes. And so it's now got the nickname of Captain Picard's tea set. So for sure, I'm going to get one of those white sets. So I want to thank you all for participating tonight. And if you can show up on the screen one more time, I want to show one image where I talk about the next speaker that's going to, a month from now, I'd like you to note down on your calendar that I won't be speaking to you, but on April 13th, at the same time at 6:30, we'll be sending out profuse notices for you to sign up for it. You only have to sign up once, not 2 or 3 times. But we're lucky to have Eva Zeisel's daughter, Jean Richards, in conversation with collector Scott Vermillion, talking about what it was like to grow up with Eva Zeisel, an unforgettable designer, an unforgettable life. And that will be on April 13th. I'm going to call this iMod TV, but same time, same station. And the Ann Arbor District Library will be hosting us again. So thank you very much for attending this evening and for your patience with my talk. And right now we welcome any kinds of questions that you have, and people will be unmuted, I believe. And thank you.